What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hammerstein and today we'll be doing a comparison video here between these two smartphones because they are pretty similar to each other in more ways than one. So what we usually do is check out the key specs and feature and of course look at them side by side with each other, and of course let you know what are the major key differences and similarities between both of these two smartphones. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So we're going to start off with the prices over here, and this one is the 8GB RAM variant here, and this one does sell for about 1,699 ringgit. But this one over here, the Poco F3, does go on sale pretty often, and you can get it for about 200 ringgit cheaper. So you can get it for less than 400 USD. And of course, I'll be putting the prices over here. Over on the Black Shark 4, so far they haven't had any sales with this phone. So for the 8GB RAM and 128GB of storage, you can get this for about 2,209 ringgit. So yes, there's a remarkable difference of about 100 USD over here. So next we're going to talk about the build and design on both of these two phones, and immediately you're going to notice that the Black Shark 4 is actually heavier and thicker compared to the Poco F3. So as you can see here, it is thicker, and yes, it's definitely heavier compared to the Poco F3. Both of these two phones do give you a 4500 mAh battery, but over here on the Poco F3, it is a dual battery setup because it does support 120 watts of fast charging. Right off the box over here, they only give you a 67 watts, but you can buy the 120 watts if you want to charge up your phone from 0 all the way to 100% in just 15 minutes, which is just absolutely insane. With the Poco F3 over here, they only give you a 33 watts brick charger. It is still pretty decently fast, but of course if you compare it to the Black Shark 4, it is just miles way behind. In terms of other things as well, if you look at the side buttons over here, you do have your power buttons here, which also act as your fingerprint scanner. So as you can see here, works really fast. One more time, boom, and straight away you are into your phone really fast. And of course, this is something that Xiaomi has been doing with a lot of their phones this year in 2021, giving you the side mounted fingerprint scanner. And of course over here you do have your volume rockers on your Poco F3, but over here on the Black Shark 4, this is the main differentiating factor over here. This is your master trigger. So as you can see here, really cool. Let me just bump the volume up, which is on the other side. Really cool sound. And go to this side. And on the bottom here, as you can see on the Black Shark 4, you do have a audio jack over here, a headphone jack. You have your stereo speakers as well on the bottom over here, similar on the Poco F3. And on the top here, you do have your top firing speaker. Over here, you do have two. And over here is on the top grille on the Black Shark 4. And one more thing to note is that on the Poco F3, it does have a Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and on the back. It's not the latest Gorilla Glass Victus you're going to find on your flagship phones like the Mi 11 Ultras, the S21 Ultras, but it is still a pretty good premium glass on front and back. It's more of a 2018 premium glass, but over in 2021, it's still a pretty decent glass. Over on the Black Shark 4, right now, I can't really find out if it's a glass or if it's a plastic. So far, they haven't found any, I can't find any evidence on what is it. It does feel plastic if I tap on this, but in terms of gripping it, it does feel like a glass material. Maybe it's a glass-like material over here. And as you can see on the Black Shark 4, you can get a bit more fingerprints compared to the Poco F3. And okay, I'm gonna turn that off. Bruno Fernandes, all this good stuff. Yes, this is the season of Euros. And okay, so as you can see here on the Black Shark 4, getting back to the phone, it does have your X logo here. So if you kind of just move it around, you can see the X kind of moving. Over here, it's very clean and very simple. More elegant design compared to the gaming Black Shark 4 phone over here. Next up here, we're going to talk about the displays on both these two phones. So over here, both of them do have an AMOLED display. Of course, here with the refresh rate, it can go up to 144 Hz, whereas over here, it's only at 120 Hz. But to be honest, you're not going to notice much of a difference in terms of the refresh rate. So both of them do have a very good refresh rate, and also both of them do support HDR10+, and it is pretty bright. Over here, they can go up to a peak brightness of 1300 nits on both of these two phones. So yes, really good. I'm going to watch some content over here and let you decide for yourself if the display does have any difference on both of these two phones. So I'm going to put it here side by side with each other, and to be honest, colors look really good on both of these two phones. Really bright, really sharp, contrasty images as you would expect from an AMOLED display. To be honest, it looks really good, nothing much to complain about there. I wouldn't say it's the most premium compared to your S21s, the Mi 11s and all this other good stuff, but for an AMOLED display, it is pretty good. Of course, this one does come with the E4 AMOLED display, and this one is a little bit different over here. It's the Super AMOLED display on the Black Shark 4. And as you can see here, in terms of the size of these two phones, they are pretty similar at 6.67 inches. So yes, you're not going to miss out a lot when it comes to the display. So the next thing that we're going to talk about here on both of these two phones are the speakers. And yes, like I mentioned, they do have a stereo speaker setup. And this is how the Poco F3 would sound. Alright, and now let's go to the Black Shark 4. Alright, so I would say speakers, to be honest, sound pretty much similar on both of these two phones. Not to say the loudest, not to say the bassiest, but a good amount of bass, good amount of clarity, and a good amount of volume on both of these two phones. So the next thing that we're going to talk about here are the internal specs, because this is where they are so similar to each other. And yes, both of them are rocking the Snapdragon 870 inside of them, and it also does come with UFS 3.1 storage, either 128 or 256 gigs of storage. Yes, I got a bit tongue-tied over there, and it does come with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM, LPDDR5. So yes, very amazing specs. So in terms of the performance, I have actually done a separate performance test in terms of the speed test, RAM test, GPU, and all this other good stuff in a separate video. So yes, you guys can check it out in the link up above and also down below for a more detailed comparison between both of these two phones. So you can see how is the performance on both of these two phones. So the next thing that we are going to talk about over here is the software side of things. So yes, as the name suggests, Poco F3 and Black Shark 4, they are still under Xiaomi. So yes, in terms of the software experience, they are very similar to each other. Yes, I do understand with Poco, they kind of branched out from Xiaomi last year, but they still get their software updates and all this other good stuff from Xiaomi. And over here on the Black Shark 4, it is still a Xiaomi product. So yes, as you can see in terms of the layout, very similar. Of course, with the theme, it's a little bit different with the icons and all this other stuff, but as you can see, it's just so similar to each other. Over here, you have your Shark space, for which is the game space. Here as well, you have your gaming mode, which does act very similar to each other. If you go to the software side of things over here, the MIUI, this one they call it the JOYUI 12.5, which is very similar to the MIUI 12.5. So as you can see here, layouts are exactly the same, but to be honest, there are certain things that you're not going to get over here that you can get over here, and like vice versa. Of course, with here you have the master triggers which you can customize. So if I just pop this up open, you can just click on this, give you some screenshot, and of course you can customize it what you want. And one thing I did like about here is the fact that if you go to your home screen, you can actually change out the items in the recents. You can go for the horizontal or the vertical. I'm not too sure why they're not doing a lot with the Xiaomi phones. I think this is so much easier to look at, and it does look cleaner compared to this layout over here. Over on the Poco F3, you don't want to get that, but over here you do have some things over here like the double tap to turn off your phone, which I don't think they have it here. As you can see here, I'm not sure why you're not going to get it with the Black Shark 4, although they're both on the similar software as well. And this is the problem I have with Xiaomi phones, because it's not very uniform across the board. Yes, I understand this is a gaming phone, this is the so-called Poco lineup, but even when I use the Redmi phones, the Xiaomi phones, the Mi 11 Lites and all that, they do give me a very different feeling to it in terms of the user experience. So yes, other than that, software wise, other stuff, you get like a quick door feature, get your second space, all this other stuff on both of these two phones, they are very similar. And also one thing that the Poco F3 does have, although it doesn't have the master triggers, is the fact that this one, it is IP53 rated. So yes, it is a bit better protected compared to this one here. Maybe it's because of the triggers over here that it cannot give you an IP rating. So the last thing here, of course, are the cameras, and to be honest, I think they're using the same exact sensors on both of these two phones. Over on the selfie side of cameras, you do have a 20 megapixel shooter on both of these two phones. Yes, 20 megapixel on both of these two phones. And over on the back here, although the layout is different, and as you can see here, the size is a bit different, but both of them, they still have a 48 megapixel main lens, and also a 8 megapixel ultra wide and a 5 megapixel megapixel macro shooter. So I think the photos over here are very, very similar, and I've actually taken a few shots over here and I'm going to show you guys, and to be honest, they just look very, very similar to each other. Sometimes maybe one phone does win over the other, just say like the Poco F3 does beat the Blackshot 4, but sometimes again the Blackshot 4 does beat the Poco F3, so it's not very clear which one is the better photo in terms of the better cameras over here. And of course, if you buy a gaming phone, you're not going to expect to get a good set of cameras, and of course with the Poco F3 with that budget price, you can't really expect too good of a camera. But in terms of like the shots over here, as I mentioned, they look very, very similar. In terms of the night mode as well, sometimes the Poco F3 did better, but in the next shot the Blackshot 4 does better. So as you can see here, cameras are pretty similar on both of these two phones. So yes, that is it. This is the comparison video between the Poco F3 and the Xiaomi Blackshot 4. And the ultimate question, yes, I understand, is which one should you get? So at the price point, if you want to save some money, definitely the Poco F3 makes a lot of sense. You get the same amount of specs, you get the same amount of build, all this other good stuff, and of course you get it at a cheaper price, and of course a higher storage, which is a really good thing. If you're a casual user, I think the Poco F3 is a better thing because it does have better storage compared to the Blackshot 4 over here. But of course, if you're into a lot of gaming, you need that fast charging, which is 120 watts. You need the gaming triggers for your PUBG, for your cooking battle, for your Candy Crush or whatever. Yes, these gaming triggers here does help a lot, and it does give you that tactile function over here, which is something I really, really do like. So yes, if you did enjoy this video and of course did find this helpful, do click the like and smash that subscribe button down below for more videos like this in the future. Do also follow me on my social as well on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also here on YouTube at Dr. Hammerstack. So that is it. This is Dr. Hammerstack. Stay safe, take care, and wash those hands.